again, what is Quincy's motto? If their motto is we want to run into you with this Lesh Razor tethered, Undying's pretty good at taking those fights when you run into him.
Yeah, as long as he gets the setup. Which, I mean, I guess in many ways, TSM FTX are always going to be favored when it comes to the initiation of these fights, right? They've got Tiny, Quaswex Invoker, and then obviously just getting out a good Tombstone. So, Quincy crew, meanwhile, I mean, their best way to start fights is like X. Other than that, it's just kind of running into you.
Pretty much. And I'm still surprised they didn't put this Kunkka mid in the end, especially after the Undying pick.
Yeah.
Because you know TSM's lanes. Like, they're not going to swap that up. And then you had an option to get the Kunkka versus Invoker mid, and then a Lesh lane versus this Undying, which... Undying, there's no way he can be too happy about that, you know? Playing versus double ranged hero. So I'm a little surprised they didn't go for that. Maybe just the hero preference and what they want these heroes to function as. They also might be lane dodging, which is another reason they would have done this. Trying to get the Razor versus the Undying and the Kunkka versus the Furion, which was the matchup they wanted. Very smart and very good if they get it off. Will TSM think about it?
It does mean they might have to give up some bounty rune potential here. They're going to just focus on one bounty rune, go for the other one, but the treants are already in place, so should be able to deny it. Go for the deny. He's got it. So that's going to be a 2-for-1 to the favor of TSM FTX, but it does mean they're going to be walking into the lanes that they probably don't want to have.
Not at all. And a defensive rune ward from Quincy, they didn't show any cores, so doing the proper steps here to try and ensure the lane matchups, and they will get them here. Now the question is, what is TSM going to do with their supports when these lanes get revealed? Do they tri-lane this Razor and try and force the tri-lane back with solo XP safe lane Furion, or do they just try and TP around and get something going?
Moon, I think, was hoping to surprise this top lane by like cutting down a tree, running behind them, and tossing them back into the poison touch of the Dazzle, but a plasma field revealed his position, and they seem to be kind of stubborn about this. They're going to keep their tri-lane, and I mean, there's no reason to go down to bottom lane right now. Tomato has the creep wave underneath his tower.
Yeah, he's just getting shoved in. He's happy to get solo XP. I think this is smart. I think they can't really pressure Furion on the early levels. Meanwhile, they got full equilibrium for this Undying. Drops level 1 Tomb.
Level 1 Tomb. Leslau.
This is deadly.
Mojo is definitely dead. That's going to be your first blood. The question is whether or not Leslau, but Tomato actually TPing in. Really cool play.
This is smart. This is really smart, right? Because he can TP back.
Yeah.
And the Razor has to TP somewhere now. I mean, he can walk to a lane. He's not going to feel good about it. So now, TSM getting the lanes right. The level 1 Tomb off the tri-lane.
Yeah, but now the Razor... I kind of want... What do you think about the Undying just staying top until the Razor shows somewhere?
Yeah, that would have been the even next level play. Him, like, immediately TPing bottom, I think, is not great, because now he just has to battle this Razor again.
Yeah.
The flip side is you can still play this Nature's Prophet game where, like, you TP bottom and kill the Razor a second time, right?
Something Leslau and MSS are going to have to be very careful about. In the mid lane matchup, we do have a Quas Exort Invoker against Twins Leshrac. Toss. They do manage to get it. And they got a really good Shadow Wave off of that, too. Nice body blocks from Moon Meander as well. And Leslau is dead again. And he will not have TP when he's back up. He's going to have to walk out to the lane.
They're really abusing Quincy trying to get these lane matchups and the fact that they have a Furion. Mojo even tried to salve him through that, so a lot of extra regen burn on this IO. He's going to get forced off the XP here, too. Tombstone, aggressive.
Yeah, really, really nice ideas all around. It's not like the Wyvern can... It's not a good hero for pressuring solo offlaners. Or solo carries in this place.
It's good if you have, like, a kill carry. You know, like a Monkey King or a PA or something.
Yeah.
Then you just chase the dude down. Kunkka's not amazing at it until he gets later levels. So some smart early moves coming out from TSM. They are outmaneuvering Quincy here and still zoning him off this tower.
They are.
Another double Ava poison.
The Poison Touch, that'll finish off MSS. The toss from Moon Meander secures the kill. That tower has already taken well over 1,000 damage. Moon Meander, okay, that might have been a little too far forward, especially given the fact you have a cooldown on all your nukes. Did he just give away to kill the Leslau? He did. Experience back into the favor of Leslau. Not really a good reason for that one, I think.
Why'd you run into the tower? He could have just ran to the side. Oh, okay, well, going a little freebie back their way. I don't know, maybe he wanted to send a message, you know? I don't know what the message was, but it got sent.
Nice deny on the water rune. Bryle doing a good job controlling that. And Dubu took the other water rune, so no refill on Quinn's bottle, which is important because he's doing really well in the mid lane. 21 and 11 compared to 16 and 7 from Bryle. Is this expected against an Exort Invoker? I feel like Exort Invoker can contest Leshrac CS.
He should do better as the lane picks up. It's also interesting he went this Exort, right? I was expecting Quas Wex, because traditionally, one, you're the vessel buyer for this IO Lesh Wyvern heal lineup. And then two, you're a lot more disruptive to this Lesh in the early game with the mana burns.
Hey, they're finally going to go for the punish onto Tomato, but the TP out is not good enough. Fada had one more hit left in him before the TP completed, and it was just enough.
Good punish. He will have the TP out of lane when he respawns, so look for him potentially ganking somewhere. If Moon wants to try and set it up. Baiting a little bit, maybe.
He has Avalanche, but refuses to use it. A lot of damage being stolen by Leslau. Saberlight's now going to come in.
TP.
Vada is going to come in from the side, but it's not going to be enough to offset Tomato TPing in. I don't think, anyway. The Soul Rip keeps the Tombstone alive a little bit longer. The double, ooh, the decay, and the Splinter was almost enough. Leslau is actually getting healed up by the healing salve, and they're going to be able to walk away. Fada is stuck in the trees right now, and he may end up being the only victim of this. But no, Leslau is able to push them back with another plasma field. They all live.
That's huge for them. I mean, what a committal from TSM. Another Tombstone drop, another Fury on TP. And Quincy just walk it off? Y'all are sitting in an empty lane.
And now Saberlight wants to go for that matchup, but it's not the same anymore. He's 2 levels behind this Kunkka. Moon, saved by the Shallow Grave. They don't time the plasma field, but they do get the vision to get the kill.
Well, what was turning into a really good early game for TSM is turning almost into a disaster off the last minute or two. It's just so much XP and gold fed back the way of this Razor, and especially Yawar, who got an empty lane and is level 6 and 3/4 now. Very early bow coming out. I also have not felt the impact of these Sunstrikes, even though there's a lot of skirmishing. They just don't really have the stun set up for him early. Exor Invoker is going to pay off later in terms of scale and the physical. He'll bring man fighting in this Lesh when he tries to run in. I just wonder if his team is kind of feeling the lack of a Quas Wex to fight around right now.
Yeah.
And I wonder if the lack of Vessel is going to hurt him too.
Yeah, I mean, going the Midas build-up just means you're going to have a slower game for sure. But then again, TSM FTX seemed very comfortable with that in Game 1, too. So they just kind of had this mantra of, like, we're going to be able to outscale them and outfight them into these later game team fights.
I think it's a fine idea. I don't think this Quincy line is presenting some super fast, like, run-you-over idea. I think Exor Invoker is Gucci. Just not having a Vessel this game. Someone else has to build one, I think.
Ooh, Tornado comes out a little bit too late. He gets hit by the Split Earth, trying to run him down, but the Avalanche. Toss back? No, toss straight up in the air. Sablelight's here, though, and he's got the Undying. Nice drop of the Meatball, too. MSS does have Tether. He'll go back to Yawar, kill the Tombstone, but a big kill on Quinn. Great counter rotations all around from TSM.
And a big tip. Tip him up. The mental game in full effect here. I mean, Quinn's a value tip, you know?
Yeah. You think, like, as a former teammate of Quinn, I always just kind of assumed the tips weren't really Like, it happens so much. I didn't imagine it has effect anymore. You know, back in OG, we're really setting that meta, sure. But 2-3 years later, I feel like everybody's just shrugs off tips now.
The thing is, I don't think it does anything to Quinn. Like, I don't think Quinn cares. You know, he definitely doesn't let it affect him. I think it's like a morale boost for your own team, you know?
Oh, yeah. You could be like, he's mauling right now, guys.
Yeah, exactly. You can just make up this idea of like, hey, guys, I'm tipping Quinn, he's mad. Everybody's like, yeah, Quinn is mad this game. In reality, he doesn't care. He's just playing it 100% all the time in a competitive grand final.
Yeah.
It's a boost for your team. You know, that's why it's a good tip.
I see.
The tips are for, you know, it's for your compadres beside you, not necessarily the damage inflicted. You gotta think about it both ways, Cap. You know, there's a whole mind game going on.
Yeah, I guess I've just never thought about the complexities of tipping before.
It's very, very deep in historic meta.
All right, well, we've got stack farming on both sides. We're watching Leshrac stack for himself with the IO. They got a little bit of triangle action going on here. We see the Undying. This is something that I believe used to be more effective. They changed some of the damage algorithms off of the zombies. I believe they ended up nerfing the damage to creeps, but does more damage to heroes. If I remember correctly, that was the outcome.
I'll trust you on it. Still make short work of it. And Tomato, honestly, Tomato needs a little bit of catch-up time in this game. Which, if you're going to have a hero who takes advantage of that, it's definitely Furion. He's a little low on levels, and his early game was kind of rough. He had to TP around a bunch. Some of those didn't work out. Fell a little bit behind. Of course, he did not go for the Midas.
Yeah, why not? If your game is being limited by your aggressive moves early, I feel like the Midas would get you experience-wise back to where you want to be.
Maybe he feels 2 is too many as Invoker has one and taking a ride on the ghost ship.
And it's not a very fun ride for Tomato, and, well, a little bit of splash into the area, catches Saberlight as well. Now, TSM is going to try and pressure the mid tower while that's going on, but Quincy crew will see if they get back in time. It's a siege wagon with Alacrity on it, so the tower is actually getting chunked down pretty quickly. They were going to lose it.
Gone. It's a high-value pickup in this game. Normally it's Furion who, you know, captures this mid tower and converts on it. Instead it was his death top that made the space for Invoker to take it.
Yeah.
So they at least get something back. I still think this double core death top was just a way overextension by them. Like, they should recognize the position they're in this game and understand, like, this is not a game they're just going to run Quincy over, you know?
Yeah.
They messed up the early game a little bit. Quincy made some good moves. They came back. This Kunkka's very strong. This Lesh with early Hood and Io behind him is very strong. You're not just going to be able to bulldoze these heroes over, so you got to kind of gear up for the mid game, which is another reason why I thought Tomato might go for the Midas, because if he has that read, this is a game that I think is going to go a decent amount of ways, and I think Midas would have paid off for him here. Perhaps worried about getting run over with too many. And Exort Invoker is he's a Midas buyer. He's a, you know, little immobile hero in the early game.
Yeah, I guess I can see a world where the Leshrac just by itself, because he's got an IO Kunkka behind him, can sort of force towers. And they would need more of that early game action. I mean, they don't want to be losing a bunch of early map control against an IO, right? Then you start really being exploited for the map.
Yeah, this IO Lesh is going to pick up a lot of steam, because he's having a pretty good game here. And like you said, he's got the IO buff, he's got the boat buff, he's got a Wyvern Embrace versus a mostly physical lineup. The one saving grace for all the sustain is that Undying Tombstone lasting the full fight. Take advantage of the, you know, the long fight that Quincy wants to take around this Leshrac. That's where that strength of the pick can come in. But the Tombstone has to live. Which, normally if you're behind by a significant margin, almost nothing keeps it alive, because you have enough net worth to just sit there and right-click it down.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the situation we're getting to almost. Like, Quincy, 3k gold lead. This Kunkka already has BKB. This Lesh has Arcane Rune, of course, and Hood.
He's going to be going for the Kaya Sange build-up.
Lively now. Your admiral is on board. Radiant's middle tower
Saberlight,
is under attack.
we haven't actually talked too much more about the core Undying since it was drafted. What is the general item build you're expecting to see on a offlane Undying?
I think it's mostly Phase Echo.
Radiant's
And then
middle
you're
tower is
either
under
going
attack.
some just like snowball-y damage item, maybe even drum, I don't know, some BKB, Sange and whatever, I don't know. Who really knows? Ags at some point can be really good in certain games. You feel like you get a lot of stacks off. I've even seen people go the shard on this hero.
Yeah,
Just
I think
the cooldown and the zombie is nice.
I think both the shard and the blink dagger are kind of underrated items on core Undying. Because blinking and blinking as a flesh golem on top of somebody and getting that initial hit, I think changes so much of a team fight for you.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. So, he's already building the Echo. I expect the Echo Shard, something around this category. Rely on the Dazzle heal to keep you in the fight, and just make space for your other two cores, right? His job is not necessarily to do all the damage. It's just tank up a bunch of spells, control the fight, set up for a Sword Invoker.
Whew, that BKB goes off just in time, and Moon Meander, well, he is going to be fine. He received the full combo, but backs away.
All right, Cap. This game is heating up,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna warn you.
Oh.
I'm in the middle of a thunderstorm here, so if I drop out, the cast is on you, brother.
It's okay. I already dropped out of our day one cast.
Yeah, I'll make it up to you.
One game, so.
I'm just
3-man
warning
smoke
you.
up. They're trying to go for the ILS rack. MSS spotted first. That's exactly who they need to kill
strike.
first.
Damn.
Quinn TP's out pretty quickly, though, and they had no more stuns left, so. Not too bad for Quincy crew, considering it was a smoke gank.
Yeah, they'll accept it. The big timing for them is going to be the double BKB here for the Razor and the Lashrak, which he is going. He has Eternal Shroud. It's going to make him pretty tanky in these early fights. TSM does have a decent amount of physical to punch through it, but a lot of it's on this Invoker. So if Quincy ever find an opportunity where they can get on this Invoker and kill him without the Grave causing too much disruption, they're going to be super happy in these engagements.
Yeah. We see once again the continuing trend for Quincy crew where Fada is doing a lot of farming. He's got Arcane Boots and he's working towards a Blink Dagger. So he'll probably have that around 20 minutes, which is quite fast for a 5.
I'll say it again, man. I think this is a game he can get Ags at some point. It's going to own. It's really good versus TSM lineup.
If you haven't been watching the
will
qualifiers with us, SVG really likes Ags Wyvern. Really nice Avalanche. And he is outside of the range of the plasma field. So Quincy crew
TSM looking to turn.
missing that kill.
2 and 1.
TSM is still looking for it. They have the tombstone ready to go with the
Nice
curse. Beautiful curse. That's going to set up into a 2-man stun, 2-man boat as well. Bryle, no way he gets out of this. He hastes his way out of there. It falls apart pretty quickly, but he did get far enough away to get out. Saberlight is going to be pulled back into his doom. The sustain coming from this lineup from TSM was looking like it was going to perhaps prevent some deaths, but 2 people do go down on the side of TSM. Oh, that would have been a really good Sunstrike. It might have killed Leslau.
100% would have killed him there. He was below the threshold. Off the mark a little bit. Very awkward engagement from TSM. They were not expecting this pincer action from the Wyvern coming through the mid. They were pretty much focused on those 3 heroes in the upper river. Just a beautiful curse on 2. That Invoker's the best target. Auto bit off more than he can chew, maybe.
Yeah, he got baited and trying to go for Leslau, but the Cold Embrace bails him out. A stun onto the Dazzle. A perfect kill to start this fight for Quincy crew, but once again, Moon Meander does land a really good Avalanche. Hops himself farther with the Tumbler's Toy. Nice Sprout block, but there's a little squeeze through that they're able to get to Moon Meander. Fortunately, Tomato with his Atos. Oh, they got the vision. They're going to be able to get the X. They are just running down hero after hero. Quincy crew, they may not be able to have the best way to just bulldoze towers, but they can just run at you.
This lineup's designed to do run at you and run at you hard and no cares in the world. And I think TSM have tools to take these fights. Quincy's just catching them off guard, honestly. Like, if it was a true 5-on-5 where you drop a tomb and Invoker's full and he can fight back with BKB Alacrity, I think these engagements look different. That's sometimes the power of IO. Like, you're faster on the map, you get places a bit quicker. Even a few seconds makes a huge difference. Quincy taking advantage of it, propelling him into a nice mid-game advantage here, 7K.
Yeah, very nice lead. Indeed. I mean, we talked about earlier how the initiation aspect of things should probably favor TSM FTX because they do have so many different ways, but Quincy Crew seems to be making it work, and that last Winner's Curse that was so good from Fada, that was without a Blink Dagger. Next team fight, he's going to have that same kind of initiation, if not even better, for future team fights. Dubu trying to go for D-warding. Quincy Crew always ready to protect their wards. Will be able to get that kill. But on the way back, though, look at Fada. He's ready to go to protect this TP back. They spot Ryle. He pops his BKB. Tries to go for the kill on Fada, but is going to be covered. The Winner's Curse on the neutrals as well, so it's going to burn out most of the BKB. They do have the Tombstone on the side, but they really want to get the kill on Ryle. They're going to focus on him first. The Tombstone goes down. Leslau looks for more, as does Yawar. Always looking for those +1s. Moonmeander does TP out successfully, and Saberlight was not spotted by the company.
Flesh Isle's powering up, man. This is not a lineup you want to feed away some of these random kills to, especially with your long duration BKBs. Because as we saw, like, this Invoker's BKB's out. He is chopped liver, man. He's gonna get evaporated in these fights by this IOLesh. I don't know. This lineup is not panning out in terms of the game progression for TSM at all. I think they are significantly behind. Obviously, the net worth is not advantageous, but I think they missed a lot of the early windows with this Undying Invoker in terms of getting them to a position where they're gonna scale into the late game. Like, I don't see this game being like last game, where they have some crazy tools to just win a fight out of nowhere, you know?
Yeah, certainly.
Tombstone's cool, but it's not a 4-man Bonds, Golem, and Azuzel. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, and if Tombstone wasn't winning your fights early on, it's not all of a sudden become this crazy powerful tool that you're talking about later. As he is just level 11. Is going to be going for the Shard next. Drop his ward sentries. Invis Fada is kind of ruining the smoke. Drops sentries. Spot Saberlight. He could have. Still has the chance to do something. Slows down Saberlight and calls it quits.
You gotta be careful these Wyvern ults. Like, you get 2 or 3 caught, Quinn's just gonna run up and split earth you out of it. And then you get boated, you get torrented. It's absolute decimation. But this is a game where Fada can aggressively ult. He's definitely looking for him.
Big reason why this IO Lesh was so favored by Quincy Crew is the Shard upgrade as well, right?
Yep.
For the IO, and we're going to see that pretty soon for MSS.
This is a strong Shard with these intelligence carries. Spell Amp, Spell Lifesteal, you're sharing it. It gets added to this Eternal Shroud, and suddenly this Leshrac is just an absolute raid boss. Like, how do you bring him down? And he is gigantic this game. I mean, holy cow, man. 6-1, 300 CS at 20 minutes. He is well ahead of the pack. Reload
Curse on top of the Forge Spirits, a full duration Winner's Curse that leads to the IO relocate. Really nice setup, but look what's going to happen on the other side here. Once again, TSM FTX are going to go hunting for the IO post-relocation, but they couldn't find it.
Pretty far back. Mojo instantly TPing out too, looking at the Roshan. Some beautiful map play from Quincy. Using this IO reload to the max with the Wyvern setup.
It does seem to be a very appropriate response to the Nature's Prophet.
Yes. Like, this is the exact type of game you want to have versus Hero, where he's on the back foot. I mean, if he's on the back foot, even better, but even if he's not, put him in a position where he's just scared to show on these lanes. You have multiple lane shovers that can aggressively show, and you're not worried about them getting picked off. Like, there's no Nyx in this game that's preventing this Lesh Hour from going ham. Yeah. Even if there was, he's a lot tankier than that puck in the other game who's getting picked off. Like, these Quincy cores are just not threatened at all.
This Gleipnir has really not shown to be super effective for Tomato so far.
I think it would have been nice in those early fights if they were in a better position. You imagine Tombstone getting dropped with some Forge Spirits and you Gleipnir someone, and Yeah, this Quinlesh is not a go. Like, this is a bold move.
Yeah,
These
and
can't
a
even TP out.
BKB, he's going to go for the Invis TP out, and they have no detection. Very smart move.
Proves me wrong, and where's the dust? It's on Razor, his backpack.
You know what that was? Somebody said, I have dust, and everybody else would say, okay, not my problem then.
Sometimes it happens.
Oh,
Nice curse.
the winner's curse. That didn't get to be used on the Invoker. Instead, it claims Tomato's life.
Ooh, show too.
Now he's going to be run down as well. The Tiny with the Razor. This is... I mean, we saw a great comeback in Game 1 from TSM FTX. Quincy Crew was controlling the game pretty well, but it didn't get to this kind of levels. And you also emphasize the fact that they don't have the same kind of heroes that can have those dramatic teamfight change-arounds. So, Quinn, you could see him. He is not afraid of anybody at this point in time. I mean, nor should he. They're struggling just to be able to put a dent in his HP, and that's only the first life. He's got a second one ready to go.
Radiant's middle
There's that
tower
net worth
is
man
under
up on the tomb. Doesn't even care.
No.
Aegis to boot. This is just IOLesh. They get rolling and he's this far ahead. Just becomes a god. A pantheon of his own. Untouchable.
Radiant's bottom tower.
UR looked pretty okay there, but just in case, MSS does relocate him out. Now, they're gonna try and bail on MSS, but I don't think anybody can get close. Oh, they're actually gonna bring him back. UR said, keep me here. And they're gonna go for this fight. The rest of Quincy Crew is gonna be on their way. Fauna now here. Moon Meander looks like he's gonna be burned down in exchange for MSS. They do get a really nice link onto this Invoker. Refresh it up. Drop another one, and down goes the Invoker. 2 dead for the side of TSM FTX. Somehow Moon Meander did manage to get out. A Torrent spots him. Oh, beautiful stuff from UR.
Beautiful caster curse. Sends him to the depths.
You know, I'm just trying to, push Quincy Crew over the edge here to even up the series, you know?
And that's what we all want to see, right? A nice, close North American Grand Final.
Well,
That's what it's looking like it is.
this game has been anything but close, I would say. For the most part, it's just been Quincy Crew. Ever since, looks like the 10-minute mark, they've just been running away with the game.
That is what IOLesh tends to do. They literally run away with it.
Is that just as simple as that for you? That, like, they're playing up against IOLesh and they just didn't execute some of those early team fights well enough, and now TSM's just too far behind?
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable summary. I think you just have to play that 10 to 15 mark well. Like, what happened for them is they just fell behind, and then all of a sudden, they don't have the damage to take the 5-on-5s and the boat IO anymore. And you're going to get out-farmed on the map.
You're going to leave behind an Undying with a Tombstone and Flesh Golem out. That's how little they regard these team fights. They're just not anything that they can take on. Moon Meander's just trying to cut some waves, get caught in the process. You could see Tomatoes doing something similar here with the setup. Bryle runs into Leslau, and Leslau doesn't back away. He's got the BKB still, so. Phase boots back up, searches for him, doesn't find anything. TSM FTX really want to stay out on the map. They also don't have a TP on Bryle yet, so.
They can rat this game out a little bit. Furion can always split push with the Greater Treants. He can take away the enemy triangle pretty safely. Forge Spirits in another lane. Bots and Invoker running around. They're not going to out-farm Quincy. They can stall it up. I'm not sure what they're stalling for. That's the issue. Like, this is a crazy hard-scale Quincy lineup. I mean, it's like I said, you can get an Ags Pyrite. You can get a full slot in Razor who's just running your Invoker down.
Oh, he popped the dust before the BKB.
It doesn't want to TP out. It wants to stay out on the map here. Be annoying.
TSM's doing a very good job of this. I mean, I think Quincy Crew has pretty decent answers to this split push, too. They've got Kunkka, who can always do the X mark back plays to push out creep waves. He's also really good catch. And they've got an IO, so they've got some options, but TSM is doing a really good job. They're losing heroes sometimes, but that's to be expected when you're down, 18,000 net worth. You gotta throw away a couple of heroes to get everybody else farm.
Yes, there's going to be some casualties. Your supports are never going to get another item until you win a fight. Way later, you're just going to hope that your Furion Invoker eke enough out on the map to get some sort of rebuttal to what's happening.
Dire's bottom tower.
Curse, kill the
Byron's
ward.
a little out of position.
Curse just keeps on setting up Leshrac rotation that's pretty free. Tomato actually TP'd in here, and they're going to fight around this tombstone, but it's now gone. Mojo getting a little bit low, and it looks like Moon Meander will have to toss back. Tomato will be able to finish him off, but Tomato's quite low, and his BKB is wearing thin too. He's got the Shallow Grave. Just turn and fight, my friend. That's the best he can do. Tries to run away, but the X pulls him back to his doom. Quincy Crew handedly win that fight, and will take some more objectives. The tier 2 in the top lane.
At least they got 2 supports out of it. They got something for their trouble. 3 cores within, you're never happy to see it. Even more gold towards these. This tri-core, which pretty much only gets scarier. I mean, this is not. You got 3 carries effectively.
Yeah.
So a lot of problems to deal with here, and not a huge amount of solutions. Pretty much Quincy waiting for the next Roche to end the game with.
Tower is under attack.
Not a lot of threats on the map either. Like, TSM can smoke out, try and burst a single core they find. That's about it.
Why is this the current trend in the meta? Basically having 3 what I would call like semi-carries, basically. They're not like the hard carries of the past. But having like 3 scaling heroes instead of just one guy who scales really well.
Step lively now. Your admiral is on board.
I think it's a product of supports getting stronger, utility, like these utility items being strong. There's a lot of ways to prolong fights, damage mitigation, keeping cores alive. If you have only one source of damage, it's very easy to just kite this guy around, prevent him hitting a dude, and then you win the fight in the long term. Whereas if you have multiple damage sources, high damage cores that can pump it out, okay, you can kite around this Ursa, or you can kite around this Leshrac, but then the 2 other guys are just killing you. And it's like, it just seals the game off nicely, and the way the map works, creeps are worth a lot. Seems like everybody can get the farm they need, so why not?
Fada just has Bryles' number in this game. He's hit so many good Winter's Curses to set up for other heroes to rotate in, get that kill. We saw it there with Bryle just now. Then they relocate, get the Moon Meander kill. Now they're going high ground. Nothing to challenge them. You can see Tomato. I don't think he plans on fighting until at least a Scotty. Oh, they found Saberlight.
Plan on fighting until next game, I'll tell you that much.
The X marks the spot. So Saberlight dies too. All the way back to the fountain they go.
Dire's courier has been killed. Radiant's top tower has fallen.
Alright, GG.
Radiant's top barracks.
So there it is. Quincy Crew do even out the series. And TSM,
Radiant's top barracks.
despite having a 3-game run here against Quincy Crew, do finally slip up and drop a game. It is a good sign for the future of this best of 5 that Quincy Crew did come up with an idea against Furion. Just because I think we've talked about how this hero